So during eclipse, moon's shadow also moves from east to west with a speed which is difference between these two, that is 68 minus 28, which is 33 kilometer per minute across the Earth's map, right? So that is roughly how these shadow of the moon. The track can be up to 267 kilometers wide, and the totality can last as long as 7 minutes, right? So that happens in a very, very rare circumstances. And the partial eclipse can be seen from a large area. Totality, the band of the totality could be 100 to 160 kilometers when there is a total solar eclipse. And the shadow can sweep an area of Earth's surface about 16,000 kilometers, right? So if there is an eclipse, as I said, the shadow moves to different part of rare events, although they occur somewhere on Earth every 18 months on average, only once every 360 to 410 years on an average. So that's like if you are seeing these eclipses are basically the geometrical effect, and there is nothing supernatural or divine about it. And whatever damage or harm people talk about, that's so well, you can see from Leh Ladakh already very very rare picture that you would see for next couple of minutes or maybe less, because you can see it is shrinking very fast, and in a minute or so the sun would set in Leh. So these are the last couple of seconds that would be visible. That concludes the eclipse from the Leh Ladakh, and we are trying to get the feed from Bangalore.
From north, it keeps the shadow keeps traveling downwards and southwards.
Yes.
So while we're getting the Bangalore link, you have to use eclipse glasses or any projection method.
So there is a question on gravitational lensing during eclipse. So remember Einstein's general theory of relativity, which predicts that if there is a heavy massive object in the foreground of a star, then that object, Arthur Eddington in 1919 eclipse expedition planned an experiment to test theory. So that happened to be the total solar eclipse day in 1919, and when the total solar same images of the same part of the sky 6 months later, you would see that position of the stars in the, so there was a slight shift in the position of the stars, and that shift was attributed to the gravitational bending which the sun caused. A massive object in the foreground, and the light is coming from a source which is in the background. It's a myth. So I'm also looking at the questions, and I would respond if there is. That can be true for any planet. So if there is some other object which comes in between the other planet and the sun, that would cause the eclipse at that planet. But it could be widely observed on outer planets which are outside the orbit of Earth. Okay, the eclipse has already started here. Sun has not sun. Our both feeds that were really very successful from IIA Leh as well as able to do that. What happens if Earth stood motionless and around the massive bodies? And by the way, nothing can stand still in the universe or in the space. They are always moving. Some more question. The total solar eclipse could last as long as 7 minutes, 6.5 to 7 minutes, and that's also roughly the record. There's a question that Saturn has 83 moons, and can we see 83 eclipses? So if the moon is really small and it is far away, then you might see it transiting in front of the sun, but not really causing any the shadow on the planet. So again, the occurrence of the eclipse would also depend on in what plane these planets are not in same plane. The moon's orbit around the planets can have a tilt with respect to the orbit of the planet with respect of the planet around the sun.
Yeah, so there are a few questions which are on the same topic, so I'll just club them together. In Bangalore, the eclipse started only 10 minutes ago, and the maximum coverage of the sun in Bangalore would only be around. Somebody's asked why is it seen in Bangalore much after Ladakh, and that's a good question, because as the moon and the earth go around the sun, the shadow of the moon travels the back, and then it's now crossing Bangalore and South India, which is why you're seeing a time gradient. In some of the eclipses, you would see that the direction of the shadow of the moon on the earth will be different. And the astronomer who lived, I think, 800 years ago in Gujarat, in present-day Gujarat, and people made fun of him. But he said, no, I know, I can observe eclipses, I can understand how they cause, and he insisted that the stories you have about eclipses are stories, but we understand the science behind them, and it is because of shadows, and therefore they're perfectly harmless, right? So I would rather follow Aryabhatta and Lalla personally. So Ravindra Panyal is back here. Do you want to tell us how the eclipse was upstairs? You can turn the video on.
Okay.
And tell us what you saw.
Yeah, so I had just gone out and saw the last part of the eclipse from Bangalore, and it was spectacular. We had like several students there and some visitors as well. So I would also urge people who are living in the southern state, and if they have a clear sky, they could probably step out and have the last glimpses of this eclipse, because the next one is going to happen maybe 2 years down the line. So this would be the last and the right opportunity to take the final glimpses of this year's eclipse that is visible from India. Right now, only from southern state. I'm sure most of the northern state, the sun has probably already set.
Yeah, and it's setting in Bangalore as well.
It's
I think it's set in Bangalore. The sun looked weird because part of it is covered by the buildings and the moon.
Yes.
There you can see the sun being swallowed up by some apartment complex, while it's also being swallowed up by the moon from the other side.
Yeah. Can imagine now
So-
anything.
So we'll wait till the sun sets in Bangalore, and then we'll stop this live feed. This is the last view of the eclipse sun from Bangalore currently. It's already set in North India.
So there's a
And
question.
in Bangalore, the maximum is around 11%. So 11% of the sun's disk is covered by the moon.
Most of it by buildings. Most of it.
There we see the last remnants of the sun. And I also want to introduce you to Amit, who's been behind the computer along with Swastik, bringing us the live stream from 3 different places in India and 2 abroad. So that's Amit, say hello.
Hey guys, nice to be here and be a part of all this.
So now we see that the sun is set. If you're at the apartment complex there, you will still see the sun eclipse, but then they're hiding it from us. So last words, Panyal?
Yeah, so I